Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. Today we're doing a waterproofing job on the exterior wall of this garage. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start pulling out the bushes. This is a job that, the homeowner really could do themselves. I'd say probably the hardest part of this is actually pulling up your shrubbery if you want to save it. And so we've got to dig around each one of these plants, pull out a little bit of a root ball so that we can put it back. But what's been happening here is that water has come into his garage. It's a slab foundation, but water had been coming into his garage and he got some termites. And those termites, they ate all kinds of wood in this corner right here. There's a staircase that goes up to a finished upstairs in the garage, and the termites just destroyed this area. So he went ahead and started a small trench. You can see the footer exposed right there. We need to dig down to that footer. Along that footer, we're going to run gravel perforated pipe, which some people call a French drain. We call it a footer tile because it sits right beside that footer. And then we're going to seal that wall with liquid rubber, and then we'll put everything back together and trench this line all the way out to the street for the discharge. So these guys are making pretty quick work of moving these plants up out of the way. And then we're just pulling up this landscape fabric so that they can trench an area alongside down to the footer, just one shovel wide. Okay, so they pretty much got this trench completed. The footer, down to the footer. You can see a good example of the footer here. This is the footer. A lot of excess mortar on here. That's not going to hurt anything. We'll chip some of that off. But you can see that there's voids down between the brick, the first course of brick, and the footer. Water rises up, floods across your footer, goes through this wall, and then rises on the inside up to floor level, which is about right here. So it takes a lot of water to get up here, but boy, once that water starts to travel, it just seeps itself right up through, and of course then it's finding a way through the wall inside at the floor level. So I'm getting ready to start the trencher. We're going to start our deep trench right here. It's going to run all the way out to the street. This is a gravity discharge to daylight.
Trenching your footer, make sure that you trench just to the top of the footer. In other words, you're about 2 or 3 inches deeper than the top of the footer. This will allow for the gravel and perforated pipe to set directly beside the footer. Discharge to daylight. What that means is gravity. Gravity is going to allow that water to flow away from the area and come out on top of the ground. So I need to run the trencher to make a deep trench so that gravity can take over. Remember that your footer is level, so water runs around the footer. Basically it's flooding up and then begins to flow as it rises higher. We need a good discharge to get this out and away from the foundation. If your excavation is deep, you can use a sump pump to lift that water up and pump it to daylight.
So now we're washing off the footer and the foundation wall. Real important that we get down in the seam of that, right where the foundation wall meets the footer, because you can see the masons here just did a horrible job, left lots of mortar all over the place. And of course, to get that off of there, it's just going to make more holes into the foundation. So we just wash it off, and we'll go ahead and seal all of that with liquid rubber. So you can see that water's turned the corner of the garage, and it's just flowing right along. And basically, like I said, it just follows your footer. Remember, there'll be gravel down here, and it'll fill up the pipe, and it's going to go all the way out to the street. The reason that we like to be down below the footer, as you can see, if you can see it on the camera, and I'll zoom it in too, the water should never actually get above that footer, above the top. we're going to have a base of gravel down here, a couple of inches, and then of course our perforated pipe with holes pointing down so that the water floods up and into the system is carried away. As water crosses, if it does flood that high, that's why we use the liquid rubber. And you can see here, we haven't washed it off yet, but you can see the voids that are all along the very first course of block or brick, either one. Water penetrates underneath and of course will flood upwards into the foundation, whether it's a slab or whether it's a crawl space or it's a basement, either one. You can see our water just runs right on through here now. And of course down here where I've trenched, it'll really drop off. So you can see how deep I am here. This is where we ran the trencher. Along the foundation of your house or your garage, it actually runs fairly level. Water has to fill up and then it'll start to flow. If you go too deep, you're going to undermine your footer. In other words, you don't want that water to go underneath that footer and cause some type of a breach, a foundation breach in the future. So here's what it looks like before you install your pipe. You can see, again, we're cleaning off the footer, running water back there on the foundation of the house. That water's just pouring out here. We've got tremendous fall, discharge to daylight, goes into the riprap, basically disappears. We'll end up down inside this culvert pipe, and that culvert, if you can see the street, this just drops off dramatically down to a major storm drain about 3 houses down.
After we've washed off the area, the wall and the footer, we like to take our blower and just come back in there and just blow everything dry. It just helps speed up the process, but it also helps remove any other dirt and mud particles that may be lodged in that area. Always try to remember, you want that area to be just as clean as it can be, especially down at the seam where the foundation wall meets the footer.
So unrolling your pipe usually is a 2-man operation. You can do it by yourself, but if one man makes a spool and flips it around while the other guy just pulls on it, you'll be able to easily unroll your 100-foot section in just a matter of minutes. So we're discharging into the riprap, and you can see basically we're just going to start throwing some dirt on it here to hold it in place, and then we'll cover up the rest of the line. Go ahead and set your pipe down in the trench, and then when you're ready to actually push it in, you'll step it, you'll just walk it down in with your foot. Corrugated stronger than you think. You can put all your body weight, I'm just stepping through the trench, but you can put all your weight on that pipe. It's a lot stronger than you think. So we'll run 100 feet, get out another 100-foot roll, and continue on. So a footer tile is always going to need gravel, unless you use the easy flow drain, which is really costly. It does work, it's a little bit more digging involved, but if you're going to run a footer pipe, gravel perforated pipe is the key to getting a good drainage system. It's going to take about 1.5 yards, which is about about 2 tons of gravel. This is number 67 stone. You can see that the stone is about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and water runs right through it. So we're putting the base of gravel down just a couple of inches, and it's okay if you've got water in the trench. That's not going to hurt anything. Water's still going to flood up through that gravel into your pipe with the holes pointing down. It comes into the bottom of the pipe, and of course then it flows away from the area and on out to daylight. So we start by putting the fiber coated material into the seam, and that'll harden up really quick. And then on this we come back and we use the liquid rubber, which is on this side right here, and that creates a real good seam on your foundation wall. So we got our perforated pipe installed. We're putting our gravel down. So we've got our base of gravel down, our perforated pipe, holes point down. Now we're bringing the gravel around, filling up the trench. You need to cover that footer as well as the pipe. You can see it's all the way covered all the way back here. Once we get that all complete, we'll take this soil, push it back over, and take some of it away, but most of it actually stays here, and then we grade it off to come back this direction. So you can see we've got our gravel installed all the way around 3 sides of this building. Looking real good. Liquid rubber is nice and dry. Gravel, a little bit more over here, just one spot we need a little bit more gravel, and we got this all covered. Remember, gravel is the key to moving water that's subsurface. Anything that's underground, you need something that water can run through. Voids of gravel. There's an easy drain made by NDS, which has got styrofoam peanuts. Works the same way. Basically, water is going to flood up through the gravel, enter the holes on the bottom of your pipe, and the pipe's going to carry it away. You can see how much gravel we've put in here along this job. Lots and lots. We've covered that footer as well as the pipe, a couple of inches above it, no problem. We've got liquid rubber on the walls. This system should last for hundreds of years. This system should last for many, many years to come. We're going to put a fabric barrier over top of this, and then we'll backfill. So we've got our gravel perforated pipe as a footer pipe, footer tile that sits down on the footer. Backfill with gravel. We've got our soil separator on here, which is just landscape fabric. Runs all the way around, through some gravel on there just to hold it in place. Now we're getting ready to backfill, and we'll be out of here in maybe about an hour. Again, a good project for the do-it-yourselfer. The hardest part of your job is right here, is actually finishing up, because you're getting tired. Nice to have a good crew. These guys work really hard. Looks really good. Nice, nice work. So now we just backfill. A little bit of work.
Backfilling is not that hard to do. It does take a little work. Take care not to fill above your sill plate or your siding. Remember how high that you painted the liquid rubber up on the wall. This is where you need to fill to backfill to. Yes, the soil will settle, but do not put that soil up on your siding or above the sill plate. Remember to grade it away from the foundation when you're finished. And this will help that water flow away from your area. Even though you've done a great job of waterproofing, do everything you can to get that water away from your foundation and your house. Put back your landscaping, and you're done.
So we've got it all covered up. Last little bit of mulch to put on. Put back our plants. This job is done. Looks real nice, real nice. Can't even tell we were here. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day.